Good evening. I'd like to welcome you to the Human Resources and Education meeting of July 10th. The current chairman, Ms. Robin Mullett, is attending her son's rehearsal dinner, so you have me tonight. I'd like to call the meeting to order, and Ms. Campbell, would you read the roll, please?
Mr. Hannigan. Mrs. Hines. Mr. Derman. Mr. Loop. Mr. Harrell. Mrs. Tipton. Mr. Jeter. Mrs. Seeley. Mr. Betancourt.
In honor of Mrs. Mullett, present.
Mr. Womack. Mr. Panks. Mr. Lamarck. Mr. Alford. Mrs. Belisario. And Mrs. Mullett.
Thank you. We'll ask Mrs. Hines to lead us in the invocation and the pledge.
Heavenly Father, we ask that you be with us this evening as we come together to make decisions for our school system. We also ask that you be with our school families and the children of our system as they relax and enjoy their summer vacation and prepare themselves to come back for school in the late summer. We also ask this evening that you be with the family of Jimbo Williams and the loss of his father. Please comfort them in their time of grief. Amen. Amen. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Let's move on to persons requesting, I had it on there. Persons requesting time on the agenda. We have 5 minutes to Sharon Hewitt, President of Recreation District 16, and Sean Dahl, are you co-presidents? Of District 16, all right.
No, he's the right-hand guy. Thank you very much, Ms. Belisario and school board members for giving us the opportunity to speak today. We are representing Recreation District 16, which is a relatively new recreation district. We're comprised of wards 8 and 9. You'll see the members of our board here, and you may recognize some of these folks. This is a map of our recreation district. I mentioned it's wards 8 and 9, which is kind of east of Lacombe, south of Pearl River area. And we have been commissioned, we were appointed by the parish council, we're a 7-member board, and we have been commissioned to look at recreation on the eastern side of the parish. And we believe, the reason that we're here to speak to you today is we believe that there could be some synergy with what we're doing and perhaps some needs of the local junior high and high schools. Our overall vision is to provide world-class recreation facilities and programming in eastern St. Tammany Parish that will enhance the quality of life for our citizens and be an economic development engine in our community. We have contracted with several consultants to work on a master plan, and we're kind of halfway through with that. And we'd like to basically tell you a little bit about what our learnings have been so far, in particular as it relates to the junior high and high schools. And I'm going to let Sean take it over from there.
One of the things, thank you very much. One of the things that we have noticed, and I think I recognize several folks here as far as from junior high and high school sports, currently utilize high school and our middle schools currently use high school and city facilities, whether it be football, soccer, softball. And when you look at the schools that are on the eastern side of the parish, and the facilities we have, there's always going to be a conflict. So I think that this definitely it fits a need both for junior high and high school. The issues, obviously, teams frequently are bumped due to high school games and lack of facility space. I think we feel Recreational District 16 is willing to provide services to the junior high school through an intergovernmental agency contract with St. Tammany Parish School Board. This one. Mm-hmm. At the high school level, right now local high schools, swim teams currently utilize private facilities for practices and meets. As you can, one of the things obviously from a cost perspective is about $5,700 a year that the high schools are paying for pool space. Currently, there are no opportunities to hold state meets in St. Tammany Parish. If any of you have ever been to a state swim meet, and I'm sure many of you have, it's amazing the following that takes place. There is not a 50-meter pool anywhere in St. Tammany Parish. The closest one is probably Baton Rouge, and then the next one is probably UNO. Recreational District 16 plans to build a 50-meter pool, which is 25 yards wide, to facilitate the need, and is willing to provide the same services with the junior high as we will for the high school students. So our plan, obviously, we're going to complete the plan in August, around the 28th. We will have community feedback and had several meetings as of late. And so we'll have the final in the fall of 2014. And obviously there's a potential tax proposal that will hopefully be on the books for March or May of 2015. What can you guys do to help? Hopefully, invite us to speak at your retired teachers meetings, invite us to speak at your employee events, invite us to speak at the meetings with your constituents as well. One of the other things we'd like to do is if you could allow us to distribute information to educate not only employees but school families on what the proposal is about, and to encourage your constituents to actually get out and actually vote for something like this. And I think we have a minute left, so any questions?
Mr. Dearman?
Thank you, Ms. Belisario. Are y'all apparently gonna have field as well in conjunction with the swimming pools and
Yeah.
that type of thing?
Oh, yeah.
Are y'all gonna have artificial or astroturf fields or grass fields, or what is the expectations there?
Mike, it kind of depends on what we can afford, of course, and we're still about halfway through with the master plan, but based on the feedback that we've gotten from the user groups and your junior high coaches and high school coaches, we're part of those user groups, as well as all the youth sports organizations that we have on our side of the parish and other groups. My best guess right now is I would tell you that we're probably going to build 4 baseball/softball fields, 4 rectangular fields, which you could use for football, soccer, or lacrosse. We know lacrosse, by the way, based on the study our consultants done, is the fastest growing sport in the country. And it's catching on the western side of the parish, as you know. 1 to 2 gymnasiums, 6 to 12 tennis courts, 50-meter swimming pool,
Miracle Park.
possibly a miracle park, a miracle field. And that's about a $20 million project with land and infrastructure cost. Some of the wish list stuff that we would like to add would be more artificial turf on the field, so that basic assumption was based on real grass. But we know there's a lot of energy from the community to have fields that could withstand the rain, so you can get on and you can play them right away, whether it's, primarily on the soccer of the rectangular fields. So that's an indoor, soccer training facility is something else that's pretty high on the wish list of the folks in our community. And it's going to really boil down to how much money we end up having to spend for land and infrastructure.
Right, and that was one of my suggestions, or with our school fields, the weather conditions limit us drastically.
Right.
And especially on our high activity like soccer, football, those type of events. So with you branching out even to more participants and more age levels than what we have at our facilities, it probably would be an advantage for y'all, even though it's more of a cost initially, but utilization is probably going to go up dramatically with that. But I appreciate y'all's efforts, and I've always been a big supporter of athletics, and have always enjoyed working with the community. So wish y'all well.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Hewitt and Mr. Dahl. We don't normally take questions when we have something before the agenda starts. That's
Okay. Thank you all
Thank
very much
you.
for your time.
Let's see, Channel 13. See, next we need approval of the minutes for the committee as a whole meeting held on June 5th, 2014. Do I hear a motion? Thank you. Any questions about that? Any questions from the audience? All in favor say aye. Nay. And abstain. Beth abstains. Okay, thank you. Moving on to Human Resources. Approval of job descriptions for the Communication Department. Mr. Jabbia.
Thank you, Ms. Belisario. Included in your packet, and I think it was mailed to you earlier, it's a memo from Mr. Foltz to you describing what we need to do as far as job descriptions in our Information and Communication Department. Technology, all the other changes coming about, the means of communicating has really changed since these job descriptions were written. So we feel like there's a need, and Ron Barthay is retiring June 15th, so we'd like to be able to advertise for his position using the new job description. So we rewrote the job of communication specialist to better match the current job. The original job description is included. The revised job description is also included, and the changes are highlighted in yellow. Also, we took that same job description and we changed a little bit to make a communications manager. Angela Davidson is currently in that job, and basically the things that are on the new job description, she's already doing. There's no change in pay. There's not any additional positions. We're replacing Ron and only asking to change the job description for Ron's job and to change the job description for Angela's job. Meredith Mendez is here tonight, of course, if you have any questions relative to the job descriptions.
Ms. Belisario, if I could, before we do that, I'd like to recognize, if it's okay, Ron Barthay. Pete did mention he was retiring July 15th, so next week Ron is retiring from the school system. Ron had another career before he came to us, but had a lot of talents and skills, and I told him today at his little retirement thing, the best skill he had was he was able to Photoshop all of us and make us better than what we really were. So we're going to miss him for that. We're going to miss him for his dedication to our school system, and we wish you the best in your retirement, Ron. Thank you for your work in the school system. And Meredith can answer the specifics for you, but the product that you see here today is something we've been working for a while. You know, Meredith is a member of many of the additional national organizations. Every school system, every conference I go to, social media is one of the topics that everyone's attending. And we just think that this is the time is right to continue advancements we're making in our social media. And these two job descriptions kind of confirm what we've been doing and where we want to go as a school system to make sure that we can communicate as well as we can with our parents, students, and the community. And that's what you see before you tonight.
Do we have any questions on this from the board? Ms. Hines.
Well, first of all, I'd like to make a motion that we accept these changes to the job description. And then I'd like to say that I do think these descriptions are written for where we want to go and the changing world we live in, and I do appreciate the time that it took to get it right and go forward with this. I think it's a good idea.
No other questions from the board? Other questions from the public? All in favor say aye. Aye. And opposed say nay. And abstentions? Okay. So moved.
Thank you.
And now under instruction, we have summer learning with Ms. Lane.
Good evening. You know, in St. Tammany Parish, we truly believe that learning is continuous and never stops. So I'm here tonight and I get the great pleasure of sharing with you about the summer learning opportunities that have taken place here in St. Tammany Parish. We believe and we live by that learning is meant to last a lifetime. So during this summer, we had teachers who participated in learning and collaboration as they shared ways to better serve our students. We also had children who demonstrate that learning will last a lifetime as they participated in many exciting and collaborative learning opportunities. Here you see the summer reading camp that was sponsored by the Striving Readers Comprehensive Literacy Grant in collaboration with Abney Elementary School. This was entitled Lights, Camera, Action. Through Readers Theater and guest performers, including Brod Baggart, who's a poet, Frank Levy, the children's theater director, and the cartoonist Rebecca Frank, students strengthened vocabulary, increased reading fluency, and continued to develop strong listening and speaking skills. There was a young 5th grade student at this camp who struggled with reading and writing. And one day, Brod Baggart told him, "You know, you really are a good writer." Well, that afternoon, he told the director of the camp, "I think when I grow up, I'm going to become a writer. You know, he said I'm a good writer." The next day, he came back with a poem that he had written that he wanted to share with his friends. So actually, the confidence and the belief he had in himself was well worth every time in the camp. Children also were allowed and provided with books, and they had the opportunity to choose a book to take home and to keep at home for each day that they attended the camp. And the books were donated by Plenty of Books. And Channel 13 has put together for us a short clip that's exciting and features the 21st Century Learning Camp. And that camp also strengthened the reading, writing, listening, and speaking skills, as well as the thinking and problem-solving skills. So you can truly see that children participated in activities that would guarantee their learning would last a lifetime. So we're very fortunate, I'm very fortunate to have the opportunity to share the fun that we've had this summer as well as learning. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Ms. Lane. Any questions? Mr. Hennigan?
Yes, Ms. Lane, did you mention how many students we served?
Yes, approximately this summer, as we calculated everybody all together, it was probably about 2,700.
Oh, good, well done. Well,
And through a lot of different programs and a lot of work from a lot of CNI staff. So it was definitely, I got the fun to relay it, but it was a collaborative effort by the whole team.
Wonderful, thank you.
Thank you. Is that it? Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Lane. And I think the announcements from our president were going to come after the other meeting tonight. And do I hear a motion to adjourn? Ms. Seeley? Second? Oh, thank you. Thank you, we're adjourned.
Going to call to order meeting for St. Tammany Parish School Board Committee as a whole, July 10th, 2014. Business Affairs and Administrative. Ms. Campbell, roll call, please.
Mr. Derman,
Here.
Mr. Hannigan, Mrs. Heinz, Mr. Loop, Mr. Harrell, Mrs. Tipton, Mr. Jeter, Mrs. Seeley, Mrs. Mullet, Mr. Betancourt, Mr. Womack, Mr. Panks, Mr. Lamarck, Mr. Alfred, Mrs. Bellisario.
Thank you, Ms. Campbell. We're going to dispense with the invocation and the pledge, and no one else requested time on the agenda, which I'm very disappointed in, being the other committee had one. But we're going to move to item 4, which is approval of the minutes for the committee as a whole meeting held June 5th, 2014. Do I have a motion, please?
Second.
Moved by Mr. Loop, seconded by Mr. Betancourt. Any comments from the board members? Comments from the public? Please vote on the issue. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstain? So ordered. Ms. Heinz abstained. Item 5, Administrative, Mr. Jabbia.
Thank you, Mr. Derman. Before I get started into the reports, I wanted to remind you that I put in your packet again tonight as a reminder the interviews for the assistant principal at Covenant High and the principal at Little Oak. They will begin Monday, July 14th at 8:30, and then Little Oak at 10 o'clock, third floor. Your packets were emailed to you today. The first thing we have is our annual uniform evaluation report. This is here for purposes of, like I said, reporting to you. It does not require any action. We're asked to do this each year. Ms. Woosner has put the report together. It's a pretty little report, too. I mean, it's good to have Amy from the C&I side work with administration, give us a nice-looking report. But it's there for your information, and if you have any questions, Ms. Woosner is here and can help you with that.
Any questions by board members for Mr. Jabbia in regard to the uniform? Seeing none. Thank you, and it is very pretty.
Thank you. Thank you, Ed. Thank you, Ms. Woosner, also. The monthly maintenance and custodial report is in your packet. If you have any questions,
All right, any questions?
staff is here.
Board members? Seeing none.
Thank you. And the monthly risk management report is also in your packet. Mr. Gaspard is here.
Any questions for Mr. Gaspar? Seeing none.
Thank you. Monthly transportation report is in your packet, and along with that, I would like to also mention that I placed in your packet a nice, pretty little flyer that transportation did for us. The hotline has been a tremendous success for us over the last few years. We'll be doing that transportation hotline again, running it August the 4th. That's a Friday. Then all of the following week, the 4th through the 8th. And then the Monday after that, the 11th, we'll be there from 7 a.m. to 6 p.m. to be able to answer questions and help parents with their buses. Also, the Edulog web query on our website has been very helpful. So I wanted to give you that information. You'd have that in case you got any questions regarding the hotline. And Miss Amy is here if you have any questions regarding the transportation report.
Okay.
And we will
thanks.
start pushing that through our social media sites, our website, Channel 13, and we'll certainly ask the media to do the same. As Mr. Jabbia mentioned, it's something that's been very successful for the school system and eliminates a lot of prior problems and gives parents a peace of mind, especially new riders. So it's something that's been worked well for us.
Thank you. Any questions by board members for Mr. Jabbia regarding the transportation?
Mr. Derman, also, I wanted to report that tomorrow is what we call our packet day for our bus drivers. That will be held at Fontainebleau High School, and they'll be getting their packet with all their route information for this coming school year.
Thank you.
So
I'm gonna be.
transportation's been working real hard getting that ready.
I'm supposed to be out of town tomorrow. On a serious note, though, I do have one question. How are we looking as far as bus operators and buses for the upcoming year, as far as numbers?
Working real hard. We just finished a training class, I believe.
There's 10 vacancies right now.
We do have 10 vacancies that are posted, so we're working on those and filling those as soon as we can.
And only one attendant.
And only one attendant. And I know that we've been getting a lot of, because they come across my desk, a lot of substitute applications for substitute bus drivers. So we're getting a number of those also.
Thank you. Appreciate
So hopefully
it.
we'll be going to be ready to go.
Sounds good. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Moving on to item 6, which is declaration of public emergency for the HVAC system at Slidell Junior High. Is this going to be Mr. Javier?
Yes, sir. Thank you very much. In your packet, and we sent this out to you ahead of time, is a resolution for a declaration of public emergency. What we had is, we have 2 chillers at Slidell Junior High School. One of those is not working at all. One chiller will not adequately cool down that building. So we had to place an order for a chiller as soon as possible so that we could be ready for the opening of school. I was speaking with Mr. Singletary and Mr. Williams before the meeting. They got word today that that chiller is on the truck and on its way here. We have the crane lined up. We have the old chiller disconnected. As soon as that one gets here, they're going to be connected. And as I understand it, we're saving the parts from the old chiller in case we have some other breakdowns. We'll have some parts for it. So it's something that we had to have. We followed the proper protocol. We got our 3 quotes, and the lowest quote is what we sent to you.
Okay. Before we take questions, are we going to have to take action on this as far as a vote, or?
Yes, sir.
Or
We're going
is
to need
this
approval
just-
of this declaration of public emergency.
Okay. I got a motion by Mr. Hennigan. I need a second. Second by Ms. Tipton. Questions? Mr. Lamarck.
On the, they're on the Main Avenue side? No, they're.
up in the.
Yes, that's the one. No, not the cafeteria, by the, right to the right of the front door, on the end of that wing. Between those wings. Yes, sir. That means they're working.
Okay, any more additional questions by board members? Any questions or comments from the public? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Abstain? So ordered. Thank you, Mr. Javier.
Thank you, Mr. Derman.
Item 7, which is construction. Ms. Tipton.
Thank you, Mr. Derman. First item is recommends acceptance of Mandeville High School track resurfacing as substantially complete, subject to the architect's recommendations, submission of all regulatory requirements, and approval of Superintendent Folse, St. Tammany Parish School Board Project Number 0318.
Moved by Mr. Hennigan, second by Mr. Betancourt. Any questions, or Mr. Hennigan?
Just a quick comment and thank you to the board. I have received several nice comments from the track people at Mandeville High, and they appreciate the work done, so thank you. In time for next fall. So.
Yes.
Thank you, Mr. Hennigan. Any other comments by board members? Comments from the public? Seeing none, all in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Abstain? So ordered. Ms. Tipton.
Item 2 is recommends acceptance of St. Tammany Junior High School re-roofing of classroom building as substantially complete, subject to the architect's recommendations, submission of all regulatory requirements, and approval of Superintendent Folse, St. Tammany Parish School Board Project Number 1324.
Thank you. Do I have a motion? Motion by Ms. Belisario, seconded by Mr. Jeter. Any comments or questions by board members? Seeing none, any comments or questions by the public? None. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Abstain? So ordered. Item 3.
Yes, sir. Item 3 and 4 are similar to each other. The first one, you have memos in your packet that I sent to Mr. Folse. And the first one is consideration of addition to Lancaster Elementary School. And we've been looking at and working with the continued growth in the Madisonville area, and have determined that we really need to review the possibility of an addition to Lancaster Elementary School. So with that, we're asking you to approve a motion that we could use remaining 2008 bond issue funds. There are excess funds from that bond issue towards building an addition at Lancaster Elementary School. And we also recommend that you would approve our continued use of the original architect selected for that project, and that is Gasaway Bankston Architects.
Okay,
To make a motion that we accept this.
motion by Ms. Heinz. Do I have a second? Second by Ms. Bellisario. Comments or questions by board members? Ms. Heinz?
Ms. Tipton, I'd just like to say that, I like the idea of using the same architect because I think the wing will look, very similar to the other one. I'm sure the plans haven't changed much,
And that will be a benefit in terms of time, and we
Right.
think that we will save some cost and some architect fees in being able to continue with design that they've already started.
it's
and
definitely
done.
the smart way to do it,
That's
and I
right.
appreciate that.
Thank you. Mr. Hennigan?
Yes, Cameron, I'm thinking back to the 80s, when we had explosive growth, and I can tell you this, just driving around that Madisonville area west toward Tangipahoa, man, every time I drive there, it's like, where did that subdivision come from?
Yeah.
I know we're growing a lot, but there's still a lot of vacant land, I guess, is my concern. And have you guys put a pencil to this and tried to, talk to the parish about building permits or anything like that?
We have begun some of that process,
Okay.
but this is really for us to be able to
Get it
to
started.
start
If
that
you fi-
process and really consider
If you
all the
find out you
elements.
need 10 rooms, is it too late to do that once we vote on this? Or?
No, that's what we had talked about. Tonight just kind of gets the ball rolling. It allows us to talk to the architect, allows us to talk to our consultant, allows us to look at the numbers, and then we would come back with you on how many classrooms we would
Okay.
hope to build. And I think also in Lancaster especially, maybe not as much in Mayfield, we're going to need to address traffic issues, whether it be a stacking lane, whether it be some additional properties there to get people off the highway. So all that would be included in this. I do want to be clear that we're not asking to take in any new students. We're not changing any lines. We're not bringing any additional students into Lancaster. We're trying to provide space for the ones we have, as well as have some growth area as well. And that's what this allows us to do to get the ball rolling after tonight and next week.
Yes. And we have this other issue of the, whenever that law was passed, about potentially getting people outside the parish, which would be
So that's all
very,
fits into
damaging.
that as well,
Yeah.
unfortunately.
Thank you.
Okay, Ms. Bellisario?
Thank you. I also agree with Ms. Heinz that I think it's a good idea to use the same architect. And I'm in favor of doing this. I am curious, in the remaining funds from the 2008 bond issue, are there other projects that we need to reserve money for? Do you have a list?
That would be item 4 that's coming up.
Well, I
as
saw
one.
that, but I mean, other than these two.
Those are the two right now. We think, and I'm really proud to say that out of the 2000 issue, we have 13 million, up to 14 or 15 million dollars. And I think that speaks to the job that we did and the way that we took care of the community and public's money. So we're going to look at these two first, after consulting with the architects on the two jobs, after getting an idea of how many classrooms that we need to build. Then we would certainly, if there were any monies left after that, we would come back to you with that. We'll tell you that Grant Sluter has looked at our numbers, looked at our proposals, and totally says that we're right on line on what we're trying to do. So we're in good shape.
I was just curious if there were other areas of the parish that were having growth like that.
These are the two biggest ones that, as far as immediate needs. So we do have some others that are probably in that B group, but this is 1A and, 2A, I guess.
Thank you, Ms. Bellisario and Mr. Foltz. Any other questions or comments by board members from the public? Seeing none, all in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Abstained? So ordered.
Thank you. And item number 4 is consideration of an addition to Mayfield Elementary School. And similar, we've had a great deal of growth in that area and see the need for an addition at that school for the numbers that we currently have and anticipate. And we would recommend that remaining bond issue funds from 2008 be used for that project and that we stay with the original recommended and approved architect for that project, and that firm is Coleman Partners Architects, LLC.
Okay, thank you. Moved by Mr. Jeter, seconded by Ms. Seeley. Questions by board members? Mr. Betancourt?
Thank you, Mr. Durman. I guess it's for Mr. Foltz. Are you, the same scenario as Lancaster? No
Yes, sir.
changing in the boundaries or anything like that?
Exactly the same scenario, for the same reasons.
Thank you.
Any other questions by board members? I guess I got one then. In regarding to, I see, where we're going to continue to use the same architect firms. Is there a way to use the same contractors, or would that benefit us in any
No,
way? It has
no.
to be totally rebid?
That would not benefit us.
And it would be it would have to be publicly
Okay, I
bid.
forgot. Sorry.
It would be a new project that would be advertised and publicly bid in each case.
Okay, that's fine. I just didn't know if we were looking at a time element, construction and that, not a
Yes,
problem. Okay. Any other comments or questions by board members?
I just want to say that this is a good problem to have, when you go around the state and you see some of the other public school systems that are not growing. It's certainly a good problem to have and something that I'm happy that we're having to deal with. Also happy that we have this surplus that allows us to do these type of projects.
I agree with you, Mr. Foltz. We're very fortunate that our community supports us, and we understand that, and we do everything within our power to make sure that we maintain their trust and use their money wisely. With that being said, do we have any comments from the public? Seeing none, all in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Abstain? So ordered. Thank y'all. Monthly construction report now. It sounds like we've been doing construction.
I just have a quick update for you. We do have the Madisonville Elementary Classroom Wing Project advertised for bids. There'll be a pre-bid meeting next Thursday, the 17th, and we expect to take bids prior to the August board meetings and bring those bids to you then. We have construction documents underway for Clearwood, Covington High, and Fontainebleau Junior High, and just behind those in phase are design development documents being worked on for Pontchartrain, Chafuncta, Mandeville Elementary, Lyon, Shataima, Abney, Carolyn Park, Slidell Junior, Pearl River High, Bonnie Cole, Mandeville Junior, Slidell High, and North Shore High. So all the projects are rolling at this point, and we'll be seeing a lot of that upcoming as we go forward in bids and otherwise. We have some good news on Woodlake. They're very close to working out some details with a completion contractor, and we expect that they may be able to start here in the next week or two. So that's good news for us. And then the summer projects are progressing well. Weather does affect those jobs. Many of them are roofing, but we've had some better weather than we started with at the beginning of the summer, so we feel like we're still on schedule there. So we're very busy over in construction right now.
Sounds like it. Thank you, Ms.
I'm
Tipton.
glad to answer any questions you have.
Ms. Hines.
Ms. Tipton, Covington High School, that teacher parking lot is full of a lot of heavy equipment.
Yes.
Is that going to be out of the way, you
It
think?
will be, whether they have to move it or whether it's all on the roof and they're finished, but it will be out of the way. And very soon, we have a meeting there tomorrow.
Okay.
But we will very soon be putting out letters on all jobs reminding them that they have to get ready for people returning to the schools in this next couple of weeks. So
All right.
we'll
Thank
start.
you. I hope that does get out of the way.
But yeah.
I'm
We
glad
will
it's on
either
schedule.
get it moved or it will be on the roof by the time they get
Let's hope it's on the roof. Thank
Yes.
you.
Thank you. Ms. Seeley.
Thank you, Mr. Durman. The question I have is with the wing that you all are going to be working on for the Pearl River High School, has it been determined whether this wing is going to have to be demolished yet, or if it's just pretty much reconstruction of the wing?
The drawings that they have produced in schematic design are reusing the current buildings, but they would be completely gutted on the interior and renovated back to classrooms or administrative space. And there will be some areas that are added on to create an interior hall that connects the current buildings that they have. So, yeah.
Ms. Seeley, we put Pearl River High on the cover too. Now, did you see that? All right, all right.
All right, thank you. Ms. Bellisario.
I have a couple questions. On page 3, the Boyette Gym floor replacement, it says the contract time is 45 days. Does that include the floor patching, door framing, and all of those things, or is that just the floor?
No, that's the entire project.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Will that gym be usable by the time school starts?
We anticipate that it will be, yes,
Good.
ma'am.
Okay, thank you. I have another question
Yes.
on the Boyette Little Oak sewer and water tie-in. I'm just curious, was that ever determined to go with the city or the parish?
We are still working through that, but our engineer has been looking at that with us and has been analyzing our different possible routes and has given us some information to review and consider. So we are still looking into it, but we are progressing towards a decision.
I think I asked the same question about 6 months ago. He
I
must
know.
be very thorough.
Well, we have a meeting next following week with the entity that we hope
Good.
will take our sewer and water for us.
Okay. I have one more question on page 44, the North Shore High renovation project. What is the anticipated time span for this whole project?
We were meeting with that architect this afternoon. It will take several phases to work through all areas of the building. So at the moment, it appears it could be as much as potentially 2 years, but we're still working
Okay.
through the details on that and may even split it into a couple of projects. We're looking at some different thoughts on how we might handle it.
I was just wondering how you're going to handle when the students are there, when you're working on certain parts of the building.
There would have to be temporary classroom space brought in for them to rotate into while we work in certain areas of the building.
And what about the consumer science classroom? Is that a ProStart kitchen?
It will be adding ProStart to that renovation, yes.
Okay, would that be one of the later phases, do you think?
That was something that we were talking about today in
Oh,
terms of
okay.
when that would be best accomplished, so.
Okay. Thank you.
Trying to figure it out.
Thank you. Mr. Bettencourt.
Thank you, Mr. Durbin. Ms. Tipton, there's been nothing going on at Wood Lake. Is that area secured where the children in that neighborhood can't get in anywhere and hurt themselves or
It
whatever?
is as secured as it can be using the fencing and what have you that is there, but it is locked up.
Okay.
And,
Also, did the former contractor leave anything in a state where some remediation or something's going to have to be done before we proceed?
There are some work that was deficient prior to their leaving that will have to be redone by the completion contractor, but all of that has been taken into account by the bonding company and the completion contractor.
Okay, and you're hoping that something might get started next week, you said?
That's the soonest that we see. There are some details still being worked out, but we expect this to start fairly soon.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Bettencourt. Any other questions or comments? Ms. Tipton. Ms. Tipton from Ms. Tipton.
I was kind of looking forward to say Miss Tipton.
Who's on first?
Another question on Wood Lake. How would you just think that it would be for the first day of school as far as what to expect?
I think that it's a very good thing that it looks like a completion contractor will be on site prior to school starting, because they'll be able to clean up the site and secure it better and get established before all of the school traffic starts. So I think it will be to our benefit that there'll be someone there on site already.
Thank you.
Ms. Tipton's question is a good question, and Cameron, I know we can't talk specifics, but we do have a really good feeling about what's the title you use on the new guy?
The completion
The
contract.
completion contractor. Talk a little bit about our history there, and we have a good feeling with that.
Our understanding is that the firm that provided the bonding company with the low bid for them is a contractor that has worked with us before and is within this parish. So we do feel that that'll be a strong contractor to be working for us
And that will
there.
be his number one assignment, is just what you mentioned, to get us ready to start school, and then from there, he will start doing the work that needs to be done, but basically to clean up the mess first, so that we can make sure we start school in a safe, efficient manner.
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions or comments from board members? Seeing none. Ms. Tipton, you don't have anything at all to do. It's summertime. You're on vacation.
Can't get much out of Cameron.
Better tighten it up a little bit. As my wife told me, school is fast approaching. So, thank you very much, sir. I'm just teasing. I know you got a lot on your plate, but we do appreciate it. Okay, item 8, business affairs. Ms. Prevost.
Good evening. The monthly purchasing report is in your packets, and Mr. Stevens is here to answer any questions you may have.
Do we have any questions from board members? Seeing none, thank you very much. Next on the agenda is announcements from the president. Ms. Heights.
Thank you, Mr. Derman. A special board meeting for the purpose of student expulsion appeal hearings will be held tonight after following this committee as a whole meeting. The new teacher induction luncheon will be held on Tuesday, July 15th at 11:45 at the Treen Instructional Technology Center. There will be a reception to honor retirees of the St. Tammany Parish School Board on Thursday, July 17th at 6 p.m. in the atrium. The regular board meeting will be held on Thursday, July 17th at 7 p.m. Mr. Barthé, we want to wish you well in your retirement. We appreciate your service to the school system and hope you really enjoy your retirement.
Very good.
That's it, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Ms. Heights. With no further business come before the board, we're adjourned.